We're just about to start the fantasy playoffs, but first, let's recap all the injuries from Week 13 in the NFL. Hey, I'm Bill Enright from FFChamps.com. He is Jared Smola, SportsInjuryPredictor.com. And Jared, as I mentioned, fantasy regular season behind us. It is now playoff time, and luckily we don't have too many injuries to report on from Week 13.
Yeah, no big injuries. We do have the Rob Gronkowski suspension, but you can talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah. All right, we'll start off with the quarterbacks. We have two of them, both quarterback ones in 12-team leagues for the most part. Let's kick it off with Matthew Stafford, Detroit Lions quarterback.
Yeah, he got stepped on by Terrell Suggs, so that's got to hurt. Luckily, there's no breaks in his throwing hand. He's just dealing with a bruise, but with it being his throwing hand, definitely could be an issue. We'll just have to hopefully monitor the practice reports this week, see how much he's throwing, how much he's able to throw.
And then let's go over to Buffalo Bills quarterback Tyrod Taylor, who was carted off the field.
Yeah, so no ligament damage in Taylor's knee, so that's good. Head coach Sean McDermott today called it a patellar tendon contusion. We actually don't have any of those injuries in our database. McDermott called Taylor day-to-day, and considering there's no ligament damage, I believe that. So probably a chance he plays against the Colts this weekend. Not sure we can trust him in fantasy lineups after that dud against the Patriots.
Just a quick aside here. Can we trust what the Bills are saying about injuries? This is a team that has denied what Kelvin Benjamin is dealing with, as we reported, or as you reported last week, with that meniscus problem. Usually players are out 3 to 4 weeks. Benjamin was, they were calling him day to day, but the truth was he had no shot of playing in Week 13.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, we start to learn how teams and coaching staffs report injuries, but, McDermott's a relatively new coach, so we don't have a ton of history on his reporting yet. So, yeah, that's a good point, though. Maybe Taylor's injury is more serious than he's letting on.
All right, let's move over to tight ends. Luckily, nothing to report on for running backs and wide receivers. We'll have updates later in the week for the guys that have missed Week 13, but no new injuries to report for those positions. Let's move over to tight end. This one's a big one. His second concussion in about 5 weeks here. Zach Ertz for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Zach Ertz had a concussion back in 2015 as well. Missed one game with that one. As we've been saying all year with concussions in general, guys are usually 50-50 to play the following week. Usually don't miss more than one game. So, Ertz might miss Week 14, should be back at least by week 15.
And then Houston Texans tight end C.J. Fedorowicz was actually on injured reserve with a concussion, and he came back for a few games, but suffered one in Week 13.
Right. This is Fedorowicz's 4th concussion in the last 12 months now, so that's a big concern. I'd be surprised if we see him again this season. Houston, of course, also without Ryan Griffin, who suffered a concussion a few weeks ago, so that leaves them down to Steven Anderson at tight end.
Yeah, we might not see Fedorowicz the rest of this year. May never see him again on the football field. 4 concussions in a year?
Yeah, that's scary stuff.
All right, luckily we don't have that much more to report on heading into Week 14, but this is the fantasy playoffs, so be sure to be back next week when we deal with all the injuries from Week 14 in the NFL. He is Jared Smola. I am Bill Enright. Thanks for watching.